Zarya returned home that morning with fear following closely behind her. She lowered the calabash from her head and placed it gently on the ground. As she reached to pour the water into a clay pot, something strange happened. The water did not move. Zarya paused. She tilted the calabash slightly. The water remained still, heavy, unmoving, as though it had been sealed inside. She shook it gently. Nothing spilled. Nothing shifted. Her heart began to race. Only then did Zarya understand that something was wrong. Quickly, she looked around to be sure no one was watching. With trembling hands, she covered the calabash and hid it inside the hut, pushing it into a corner where her husband would not notice it. She did not want questions. She did not want suspicion. All through that day, Zamora began to whisper. Women returned from the same river, each carrying water home. But the moment they arrived, the same thing happened. The water in their calabashes refused to move. It did not pour. It did not spill. It sat inside as though bound by an unseen force. Children complained that the water would not come out. Mothers argued in frustration. Fear crept quietly from compound to compound. By evening, confusion had spread across the village. When Kofi Ayanda returned from his farm, he met neighbors gathered outside, speaking in worried voices. One woman stepped forward. The water my children fetched this morning is still trapped in the calabash. She said, "It has not moved since dawn." Another man nodded. "The same thing happened in my house." Kofi Ayanda frowned. "What do you mean it is trapped?" They answered him, "It has been happening to everyone who fetched water from the river today." A heavy silence followed. Then one neighbor spoke carefully. "Perhaps we should visit a native doctor or go to the shrine. This is not ordinary." Kofi Ayanda thought for a moment, then nodded. "We should go before this thing grows beyond us." That night, sleep avoided Zarya. When Kofi Ayanda finally slept, she rose quietly and went to where she had hidden the sacred comb. Her hands shook as she reached for it. It was still there. A small breath of relief escaped her lips. She held it tightly, pressing it against her chest. But even in that moment of relief, fear remained, because the river had not finished with her. At dawn the next morning, Kofi Ayanda set out with 2 other men from Zamora. Together, they walked the long path toward the shrine. When they arrived, the native doctor was already seated, as though he had been waiting. He looked at them and asked, "What brings you to the shrine so early this morning?" They explained everything. The river, the water that refused to move, the fear spreading through Zamora. The native doctor nodded slowly. He began to chant. He cast cowries. He struck the earth with his staff. The air grew heavy. After a long silence, he stopped. His face darkened. "This is dangerous," he said. The men looked at one another, fear in their eyes. Kofi Ayanda stepped forward. "Great One, what do you see?" The native doctor lifted his eyes and remained silent. To be continued. Watch out for part 3.